Someone secretly loves you, but they're afraid you'll never feel the same way about them. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. Before you move on, pause for just a moment because what you're about to hear may touch a part of your heart you've been trying to ignore. Somewhere, someone is carrying feelings they have never found the courage to confess. Every day they tell themselves, "Today might be the day I finally say something." Yet every evening ends the same way, with silence, unanswered questions, and another opportunity slipping quietly into tomorrow. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Sometimes the greatest love stories begin long before anyone speaks the first honest words. They begin in quiet moments, unnoticed glances, unspoken prayers, and a heart that hopes without knowing whether hope will ever be returned. Imagine someone watching you laugh during an ordinary conversation. Everyone else hears the joke and quickly moves on, but they remain captivated by something much deeper. It's not your appearance alone that catches their attention. It's the kindness behind your smile. It's the patience in the way you listen. It's the quiet way you make people feel important without even realizing you're doing it. While others remember the conversation, they remember how being near you made them feel. That feeling stays with them long after the day is over. Don't scroll. Because your heart needs this right now. They never planned to fall for you. Life doesn't always ask permission before changing direction. At first, you were simply another person crossing their path. A familiar face. A friendly voice. Someone whose presence brought unexpected comfort. But little by little, ordinary moments began carrying extraordinary meaning. They started noticing the smallest details about you. The way your eyes brighten when you're excited about something. The way you encourage people who doubt themselves. The way you stay calm when everyone else becomes overwhelmed. None of these moments seemed important to anyone else. To them, they became unforgettable. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Every morning they quietly hope they'll see you. They tell themselves it's only coincidence. They convince themselves they're simply looking forward to another ordinary interaction. Yet deep inside, they know the truth. Their day feels lighter when you're around. Even hearing your voice for a few minutes somehow makes difficult hours easier to carry. They don't fully understand why your presence brings so much peace, but they have stopped trying to explain it. Some feelings arrive so naturally that logic cannot fully describe them. This message is for you. Perhaps you've never realized the influence your kindness has on people. Maybe you assume your small acts of compassion disappear the moment they're finished. The truth is that some hearts quietly treasure moments you barely remember. A single encouraging sentence. A smile offered during someone else's difficult day. A conversation where you genuinely listened instead of waiting to speak. These seemingly ordinary moments often become memories another person carries for years. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. The person who secretly loves you has imagined countless conversations that have never happened. They rehearse what they would say if they ever found the courage to tell you the truth. Sometimes the words sound confident. Other times they become awkward before they even finish imagining them. Every version ends with the same fear: what if they don't feel the same? That question has become the invisible wall standing between honesty and silence. Listen to this. Because your heart needs this right now. Fear has an incredible ability to make possibilities seem impossible. It whispers that rejection will hurt forever. It convinces people that silence is safer than vulnerability. Yet silence carries its own weight. Every day they remain quiet, they wonder what might have happened if they had simply been honest. Every missed opportunity becomes another memory they quietly replay while wishing they had been braver. This message is for you. There have been moments in your own life when uncertainty felt stronger than confidence. Times when you hesitated because you didn't know how someone else might respond. Those experiences taught you empathy. They reminded you that every person carries invisible fears, hidden hopes, and dreams they rarely speak aloud. Perhaps that's why your words often make others feel understood. You know what it means to search for reassurance yourself. Don't scroll. Because your heart needs this right now. One evening, after another ordinary day, they sit alone reflecting on everything they wish they had said. They remember a conversation where you encouraged someone not to let fear make important decisions. Those words weren't directed toward them specifically, yet they felt as though they landed directly inside their heart. Ironically, the very advice you offered someone else became the encouragement they desperately needed themselves. Still, when the opportunity came to speak honestly, fear won again. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. They begin writing their thoughts inside a notebook. Not because they intend to send it to you, but because keeping everything hidden has become too heavy. Page after page fills with quiet confessions. They write about the first time they realized their feelings had changed. They describe the comfort they experience whenever you're nearby. They admit how often they've imagined telling you everything. The notebook becomes a place where honesty finally exists, even if only in private. This message is for you. Sometimes people reveal their truest selves only when no one else is watching. The courage they cannot yet speak aloud appears first in written words, silent prayers, and moments of reflection. Growth often begins privately before it ever becomes visible to the world. Don't scroll. Because your heart needs this right now. As the days pass, they notice something else. Their feelings are no longer built only on admiration. They genuinely want the best for you, even if they never become part of your future. They celebrate your successes quietly. They hope your difficult days become easier. They smile whenever life brings you moments of happiness. That's when they realize their feelings have become deeper than simple attraction. They care about your peace as much as their own. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Real affection isn't measured by dramatic gestures alone. Sometimes it's revealed through quiet consistency. Through showing up. Through paying attention. Through hoping another person's life becomes brighter, whether or not anyone notices your contribution. That kind of care is rare because it asks for patience before recognition. This message is for you. Continue being the kind of person whose kindness creates hope in others. Continue speaking with honesty, encouraging people without expecting anything in return, and treating every conversation as though it matters. You may never fully realize how deeply your compassion reaches hearts around you. As another evening comes to an end, the person closes the notebook and whispers softly, "Maybe one day they'll know." They don't expect tomorrow to change everything. They don't imagine a dramatic confession appearing overnight. But something inside them has begun shifting. For the first time, they realize that carrying love in silence forever may be more painful than risking honesty once. They have no idea that a small, unexpected moment is approaching, one simple conversation that will give them the opportunity they've secretly been hoping for. In the next chapter, you'll discover why one ordinary encounter suddenly makes them believe the impossible might finally become possible. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. After another sleepless night, they wake with the same thought that has greeted them every morning for weeks. Maybe today will be different. They don't expect a miracle. They don't imagine everything will suddenly become easy. They simply hope for one small opportunity, a chance to spend a few extra minutes with you, to hear your voice, to share one genuine conversation without overthinking every word. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Sometimes hope survives not because life becomes easier, but because the heart refuses to stop believing that honesty still has a chance. As they prepare for the day, they quietly promise themselves something they have promised many times before. If the moment feels right, I'll finally tell them how I feel. It sounds simple while standing alone. But they already know what usually happens. The moment arrives, your smile appears, your kindness immediately makes them forget every rehearsed sentence, and courage quietly disappears behind fear once again. They don't remain silent because their feelings aren't real. They remain silent because those feelings are more real than anything they've ever experienced, and that makes the possibility of rejection feel even heavier. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Later that afternoon, something unexpected happens. You walk into the room carrying the same calm presence you always do. You greet everyone warmly, laugh at a small joke, and ask how everyone's day has been. To everyone else, it's an ordinary interaction. To the person secretly loving you, it feels like time slows down. They notice every little detail. The way your eyes brighten when someone shares good news. The patience in your voice when another person needs encouragement. The genuine interest you show while listening instead of pretending to care. Every small act confirms what their heart has already known for so long. Their feelings were never built upon a fantasy. They grew because of the person you consistently choose to be. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. During the conversation, you mention something that catches them completely off guard. You say, almost casually, life is too short to spend it wondering, what if? The room moves on to another topic within seconds, but those words remain frozen inside their mind. They don't hear anything else for several moments. It feels as though the sentence was spoken directly to them. They begin wondering whether life has been quietly giving them encouragement all along while fear kept convincing them to wait for the perfect moment, a moment that may never come. This message is for you. Perhaps you've spoken words that encouraged someone without realizing it. Maybe you've shared advice during an ordinary conversation that became exactly what another heart needed to hear. Kindness often travels much farther than we imagine. One sincere sentence can stay with someone for years, quietly influencing decisions they'll never tell you about. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. As the day continues, they find themselves smiling more than usual. Not because anything dramatic has happened, but because hope has returned. They stop focusing entirely on the fear of rejection and begin imagining another possibility. What if they have underestimated you? What if your kindness is genuine enough to receive honesty with compassion, regardless of the outcome? They suddenly realize something important. They have spent months imagining the worst possible ending without ever allowing themselves to imagine that things might actually go well. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Fear has a remarkable ability to write stories that never happen. It predicts disappointment before conversations even begin. It convinces people they already know someone else's answer without giving that person the opportunity to respond. Yet hope asks a completely different question. It whispers, "What if you're wrong about your fears?" That question begins quietly changing everything inside them. This message is for you. Think about your own life for a moment. How many opportunities have appeared only after you stopped assuming the worst? How many meaningful relationships began because someone finally chose honesty over hesitation? Every season teaches different lessons, but one truth remains constant. Courage does not guarantee a particular outcome. It simply guarantees that fear no longer makes every important decision. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. That evening, they return home and open the notebook once again. The pages are already filled with words they've never spoken aloud. Tonight feels different. Instead of writing only about their fears, they begin writing about their hopes. They imagine what life could look like if honesty replaced silence. They don't picture perfection. They understand that every relationship requires patience, understanding, and trust. Yet they realize they would rather face uncertainty honestly than spend years wondering what might have happened if they had simply spoken from the heart. Listen to this. Because your heart needs this right now. As they continue writing, they pause after one sentence. I don't need them to give me the answer I want. I only need the courage to tell them the truth. They stare at those words for several minutes. Suddenly they understand something that had never occurred to them before. Their greatest victory isn't receiving a certain response. Their greatest victory is becoming brave enough to stop hiding who they truly are. This message is for you. Authenticity brings a freedom that pretending never can. Whether you're speaking about dreams, friendships, forgiveness, or love, honesty allows your heart to breathe. It removes the exhausting burden of constantly wondering what would happen if people truly knew how you felt. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Over the next several days, little moments continue strengthening their resolve. You smile at them during an ordinary conversation. You ask a thoughtful question that makes them feel genuinely seen. You thank them for something small that most people would have overlooked. None of these actions prove you share their feelings. Yet each one reminds them that kindness creates space where honesty can eventually exist. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. They begin noticing something else as well. Whenever you're around, they don't simply feel excitement. They feel peace. The pressure to impress you slowly disappears. Instead, they find themselves wanting to know you more deeply, to understand your dreams, your fears, your hopes, and the experiences that shape the person you've become. They realize their feelings have matured beyond admiration. They want to build trust before expecting anything else. This message is for you. Relationships rooted in patience often become stronger than relationships built only upon excitement. Genuine connection grows through listening, consistency, respect, and the willingness to value another person's heart as much as your own. These qualities cannot be rushed, but they create foundations capable of lasting through difficult seasons. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. As another week draws to a close, they make a quiet decision that surprises even themselves. They choose a specific day. No more endless postponing. No more waiting for perfect circumstances. No more convincing themselves that tomorrow will somehow become easier than today. They decide that when the opportunity arrives, they will finally speak honestly. Their hands still tremble at the thought. Their heart still races whenever they imagine the conversation. But beneath all the nervousness is something stronger than fear has ever been. It is hope. Hope that honesty is always better than lifelong regret. Hope that truth deserves a chance. Hope that perhaps, just perhaps, the story they've been too afraid to begin is closer to its first real chapter than they ever imagined. As they close the notebook for the night, they whisper softly, "Whatever happens, I don't want silence to write the ending of this story." They have no idea that the opportunity they've been praying for is about to arrive sooner than expected. One unexpected invitation, one quiet conversation, and one simple question from you will leave them standing at the edge of the moment they've imagined 1,000 times. In the next chapter, you'll discover why their carefully planned confession doesn't happen the way they expected, and how one surprising event changes everything before they can even say the first 3 words they've carried inside their heart for so long. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. The day they had been preparing for finally arrives, yet nothing unfolds the way they imagined. For weeks they had rehearsed every possible version of the conversation. They pictured finding the perfect moment, speaking with confidence, and finally releasing the truth they had carried in silence for so long. But life rarely follows the scripts we write in our minds. Instead, it creates moments we could never have planned ourselves. As they step into another ordinary day, they quietly remind themselves of the promise they made. No more hiding. No more waiting for the perfect time. Even though their heart races with uncertainty, they know they cannot continue carrying feelings that grow heavier with every passing day. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Sometimes courage doesn't arrive because fear disappears. Courage arrives because your heart finally becomes tired of letting fear decide your future. The morning begins with unexpected news. A small gathering has been organized, bringing together people who rarely have the chance to spend time in the same place. At first, they hesitate about attending. Part of them worries that being near you will only make everything more difficult. Yet another part quietly whispers that perhaps this is the opportunity they've been hoping for. They decide to go, carrying both excitement and uncertainty in equal measure. During the journey, countless thoughts race through their mind. They wonder whether you'll be there before they arrive. They wonder whether you'll even notice them. Most of all, they wonder if today could become the day that changes everything. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. When they finally arrive, they immediately notice you across the room. You aren't trying to be the center of attention. You're simply talking with someone, smiling the way you always do, listening carefully instead of rushing through conversations. Watching you reminds them why these feelings became so difficult to ignore in the first place. It was never about one single moment. It was about hundreds of ordinary moments that quietly revealed your character. Your kindness wasn't something you performed when people were watching. It appeared naturally in the way you treated everyone around you. That consistency became the reason admiration slowly grew into something much deeper. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Throughout the gathering, several opportunities to speak with you appear, yet each one disappears before they gather enough courage. Someone interrupts the conversation. Another group joins unexpectedly. The timing never feels quite right. Every missed opportunity leaves them wondering whether they should simply accept that silence is easier. Yet each time that thought appears, another memory returns. They remember your words from days earlier, "Life is too short to spend it wondering what if." Those words refuse to let them give up now. This message is for you. Perhaps you've also experienced moments when life seemed to place you at the edge of an important decision. You knew remaining silent would be easier, yet something inside you insisted that honesty deserved a chance. Those crossroads rarely feel comfortable. They ask you to trust courage before certainty. They ask you to believe that authenticity is worth the risk, even when the outcome remains unknown. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Later in the afternoon, something completely unexpected happens. You find yourself standing beside them without either of you planning it. The conversation begins naturally. At first, you talk about ordinary things, how busy life has been, recent experiences, future plans. The discussion feels relaxed, almost effortless. Slowly, the nervousness they carried throughout the day begins fading. They stop worrying about saying the perfect words and simply enjoy the conversation itself. For the first time in weeks, they realize that being fully present matters more than trying to control every outcome. Listen to this. Because your heart needs this right now. Then you ask a question they never expected to hear. Looking directly into their eyes, you smile gently and say, "Can I ask you something?" Their heart begins beating faster. They nod quietly. You continue, "You've seemed different lately. Is there something you've been wanting to tell me?" Time suddenly feels as though it has stopped. Every rehearsed sentence disappears. Every carefully planned speech vanishes. Only truth remains. This message is for you. There are moments when life removes every excuse we've been hiding behind. We tell ourselves we'll speak tomorrow, next week, or when circumstances become perfect. Then suddenly the opportunity stands directly in front of us, asking for honesty instead of preparation. Those moments reveal who we truly are because there is no longer time to hide behind fear. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. They take a deep breath, preparing to answer, but before any words leave their lips, someone nearby calls your name. The conversation is interrupted once again. You apologize warmly and promise, "Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back." Then you walk away. They remain standing there, watching you disappear into the crowd. For a brief moment, disappointment returns. They wonder whether the opportunity has slipped away yet again. But something feels different this time. You didn't walk away because you weren't interested. You walked away because life simply interrupted the moment. More importantly, you promised you would come back. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Waiting those few minutes feels longer than the entire week. Every possibility runs through their mind once again. Should they still say it? Should they wait? Should they let the moment pass? Yet instead of panic, a surprising calm begins filling their heart. They realize something important. Whether your answer eventually brings joy or disappointment, they no longer want fear to write the story. They want honesty to have its chance. This message is for you. Real courage often arrives quietly. It doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it simply appears as a peaceful decision that you've carried uncertainty long enough. The outcome may still be unknown, but your heart finally becomes ready to live truthfully instead of hiding safely. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. A few minutes later, you return exactly as you promised. You smile apologetically before saying, "Thank you for waiting." Those simple words mean more than you realize. They remind the person standing before you that they matter enough for you to come back. You ask gently, "So, what was it you wanted to tell me?" Once again, silence fills the space between you. But this silence feels different. It no longer feels heavy with fear. It feels full of possibility. They take one slow breath. Their hands tremble slightly. Their heart pounds louder than ever before. Then they begin speaking. Not with perfectly rehearsed sentences. Not with dramatic declarations. Simply with honesty. "I've been trying to find the right words for a long time." You listen without interrupting. "I didn't plan for these feelings to happen." Your expression softens. "I've been afraid because I never wanted to make things uncomfortable between us." Still, you continue listening. And the truth is, before they can finish the sentence, your phone suddenly begins ringing. You glance down at the screen, your expression changing as you realize it's an urgent call. You quietly apologize once more, asking for just one more minute. The confession remains unfinished. The answer remains unknown. But something has already changed forever. For the first time since these feelings began, the truth has finally started finding its voice. And as you step away to answer that unexpected call, neither of you realizes that what happens in the next few minutes will completely reshape the conversation that follows. In the next chapter, you'll discover why that interruption becomes the reason the confession ends very differently than either of you expected. And why the response waiting on the other side of that unfinished sentence changes both of your lives forever. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. The silence after the interruption feels longer than either of you expected. As you watch them step away to answer the urgent phone call, your heart begins filling with familiar doubts once again. For one brief moment, you wonder if this is life giving you another excuse to stay silent forever. You tell yourself that perhaps this is a sign to keep your feelings hidden, to protect yourself from disappointment, and to return to pretending that friendship is enough. Yet deep inside, another voice speaks much more gently. It reminds you that you've already come farther than you ever thought possible. For the first time, the truth has reached your lips. Even though the sentence remains unfinished, your fear no longer holds complete control over your heart. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't hearing the answer you've been hoping for. It's becoming brave enough to finally speak your truth. As you stand there waiting, you begin remembering every small moment that brought you to this place. The first conversation that unexpectedly stayed in your mind. The ordinary afternoons that somehow became the highlight of your week. The encouraging words they spoke when they didn't even realize how much you needed to hear them. The countless times you almost confessed but convinced yourself to wait for a better opportunity. Looking back now, you realize your story was never built on one dramatic event. It was built on consistency. It was built on respect. It was built on admiration that quietly grew into something much deeper than you ever expected. Every memory reminds you that these feelings were never impulsive. They were patiently formed through genuine connection. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Several minutes pass before they return. The expression on their face is different now. Not distant. Not uncomfortable. Simply thoughtful. They apologize for the interruption and thank you once again for waiting. Most people would have accepted the interruption as a reason to end the conversation completely. Instead, they smile softly and say something you never expected to hear. You were about to tell me something important, and I don't want you to feel like you have to keep carrying it alone. Those words immediately calm the storm inside your heart. They aren't promising any particular outcome. They aren't making assumptions about what you're going to say. They are simply creating a safe space where honesty is welcome. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Safety is one of the greatest gifts anyone can offer another person. It allows fear to loosen its grip. It reminds us that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's evidence that something truly matters. Standing there in that quiet moment, you realize you don't need perfect words anymore. You only need honesty. This message is for you. Think about how many conversations in life remain unfinished because people fear being misunderstood. How many friendships never become deeper because someone keeps hiding behind carefully chosen words? How many opportunities disappear because fear convinces us silence is safer than sincerity? Yet every meaningful relationship eventually reaches a point where authenticity becomes more valuable than certainty. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. You take one slow breath and finally continue the sentence that had been interrupted. The truth is, somewhere along the way, you became much more important to me than I ever expected. The words leave your mouth quietly, without dramatic speeches or rehearsed declarations. You continue speaking from the heart. You explain that your feelings developed slowly through countless ordinary moments. You tell them you never expected anything in return. You simply didn't want to spend the rest of your life wondering what might have happened if you had never been honest. As you speak, they never interrupt. They simply listen with complete attention, allowing every word to find its place. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. When your final sentence fades into silence, you suddenly feel lighter. Not because you already know the answer, but because the weight you've carried for so long is finally gone. Honesty has replaced uncertainty. Whatever happens next, you no longer have to wonder whether your heart remained hidden. Freedom often arrives the moment truth is spoken. They remain quiet for several seconds, looking thoughtfully toward the ground before lifting their eyes back to yours. A gentle smile begins appearing across their face. Then they say something completely unexpected. I think I've known there was something different between us for a while. Your heart begins racing again. They continue. I just wasn't sure if I was imagining it. Those words catch you completely by surprise. Every fear you carried suddenly begins losing its power. They explain that they noticed the way your conversations always felt different. They noticed the kindness, the consistency, and the quiet care behind your actions. They admit they had often wondered whether your heart was trying to say something your words never did. This message is for you. Sometimes we underestimate how much people notice. We assume our feelings remain completely invisible, yet genuine care often reveals itself in hundreds of little ways. Respect, patience, encouragement, presence. These quiet actions frequently speak long before words ever do. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. They gently explain something else. I didn't know whether you felt this way because I was afraid of misunderstanding your kindness. Hearing those words changes everything. For months, both of you had been carrying similar fears. Each of you believed the other might never feel the same. Each of you hesitated because protecting the relationship seemed safer than risking rejection. Fear had quietly been telling both hearts the very same story. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Fear often creates invisible walls where none truly exist. It convinces people they're alone in feelings that may actually be shared. That's why honest conversations have the power to change lives. They replace assumptions with understanding and silence with clarity. The conversation continues for much longer than either of you expected. Neither of you rushes toward promises or dramatic conclusions. Instead, you simply talk. You laugh about missed opportunities. You admit the moments when each of you almost spoke but decided against it. You realize how many ordinary memories now carry completely different meanings because you finally understand what was hidden beneath them all along. This message is for you. Healthy relationships are rarely built in one emotional moment. They are built through honesty, patience, trust, and mutual respect. Confessions may begin a story, but consistent character allows that story to continue growing. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. As the evening slowly comes to an end, they look at you with warmth and quietly say, "I'm really glad you didn't keep this to yourself." Those simple words become more meaningful than any dramatic declaration could have been. You don't leave with every answer about the future. Neither of you promises that life will suddenly become perfect. Instead, you leave carrying something much more valuable. Hope. Real hope. The kind that grows from truth instead of imagination. The kind that no longer depends on wondering what if. As you both begin walking in the same direction, you realize the greatest miracle wasn't that someone secretly loved another person. The greatest miracle was that two hearts, each afraid of being misunderstood, finally chose honesty over fear. The silence that once kept you apart has been broken, not by perfect words, but by sincere ones. And although this chapter closes with your confession finally heard, the story is far from over. The days ahead will bring new conversations, unexpected challenges, moments of joy, and opportunities to build something neither of you believed was possible. What began as a secret carried in silence is now becoming the foundation of a relationship built on trust, courage, and the simple decision that changed everything, the decision to finally tell the truth.